Okay, so so today we are basically going to be talking about land, right? Land, how it works. Like I said, this all these documents is inside your real estate business kit, and you can easily download your real estate business kit on your dashboard. Just go to tools on your dashboard. You'll be able to download this presentation slide, and you'll be able to read everything. It's self-explanatory in itself. We have made it that way, so you'll be able to see that as well. So we have talked about property rent. We have also talked about property leasing yesterday. So we are going to be talking about land buying. So that is what we'll be talking about this morning. Understanding the way land buying works in Nigeria. So that is what we'll be talking about this morning. So it's just going to be a short one, probably 15 minutes. We are done, so that we can end up the time by 10 o'clock today. Okay, so introduction to land buying, right? So, what are the things that you are supposed to know when it comes to land buying in Nigeria? Because land buying in Nigeria is a different system from land buying in the US. It's different from land buying in Dubai, right? It's different, totally different, right? Because there are local laws and rules and regulations that applies to Nigeria that doesn't apply to the US, right? There are so many things, even though it is true that every land is fundamentally the same. Every land everywhere in the world is fundamentally the same. There is a one way or the other, there's C of O in every place in the world, right? So it might not be called C of O, it might be called right of ownership, whatever it needs to be called. But the reality there is that there is rules and regulation in every country as regards to when you will buy land. And it is very, very important for you to understand these things so that when you meet somebody and somebody is asking you a question concerning which type of land is the land that you are talking about. Hope is not an agricultural land, hope is not excision, hope is not this, hope is not that. You need to have that understanding. And it's very, very key. And like I said, this is a self-explanatory, so you can go back and read it as well. So number one is we want to talk about is the types of land. What are the types of land in Nigeria? So basically there are four types of lands, right? Four types of lands, right? So the first type of land is called residential land, right? So what is residential land? Residential land is a land that has been designed and separated by the government for the construction of houses and other residential buildings that people will live in. Please take note, live in. Okay, residential land once again is the land that has been designated and separated, or probably let me say consecrated, if that word can be used, for the sole purpose of residential building. That is for the construction of houses and other type of residential buildings that people will live in. That people will live in. So if somebody is building commercial properties on a residential land, that person has gone against the law, and the government has the right to come and pull that land down. The government has the right to pull that land down. Okay, and that is something that is very, very vital. You need to have that understanding of what I've just said now. So residential land, like I've said, is land that has been designated or consecrated or separated for the purpose of constructing houses and other residential types of building that people are going to live in. That is what that is. So, and when you talk about the kind of apartments or housing that people can build on such land, it may be single family homes, it may be houses, it may be apartment buildings, it may be high-rise buildings, whatever the case may be, even though there are local laws as regards to building plans as well. But you need to understand that as far as that land is concerned, it is a residential land. Then the second type of land is commercial land, right? So what are commercial land? So commercial land is lands that has been designated by the government. Now I'm using the word government because it is the government that owns all the land. So nobody actually owns any land. It is the government that owns all the land. In this Nigeria, it is the government that owns every land. Okay, what the government does is to set aside a portion for people or for communities or for villages and say, okay, we are giving you this land, you can sell it, you can build on it, you can do whatever you like with it. But at the end of the day, it is the government that owns all the land in Nigeria. Okay, so commercial land is the land that has been designated by the government for the construction of buildings and facilities for commercial or business purposes. Okay, so if you see a commercial land, that is the government has designated it for the construction of buildings and facilities for commercial purposes or business purposes. So when we are talking about commercial purposes, what do we mean? We are talking about maybe buildings that has been built for offices, retail stores. We are talking about hotels. Yeah, we are talking about restaurants. We are talking about shopping centers. That is why at times it's funny to me that somebody will go and build an hotel in a residential land. Right. And at the end of the day, the government will come and say, you are not supposed to build this structure here. They pull off this thing, and the person will not be crying that Sanwo-Olu or somebody has done bad to him when there is code of ethics already. So a commercial land is a commercial land. You are not supposed to build an hotel in a residential apartment. Okay, even though Airbnb has changed that model in a way, right? But at the end of the day, it has to be you have to build whatever you want to build on a commercial land. Then the third thing is agricultural land, right? Agricultural land. So what is agricultural land? So agricultural land is land that has been designated by the government for the purpose of farming and other agricultural activities, like what's it called? Husbandry, right? Cattle ranching, livestock raising, whatever the case may be, right? So that is what agricultural land is. So agricultural land is used for farming, right? It's a land that has been designated by the government for the purpose of farming and other agricultural activities. I know some of you might have heard of agricultural estates, right? Or agric estates or something like that, right? So that means that it's not a land that people are supposed to live in terms of an urban area. It's a place that has been dedicated for farming and other agricultural activities. And that is why even some of the lands in Ekpe or Ibejuleki that people has gone to buy, in the next 10 years, when the government wakes up, they will come and destroy all those estates. Why? Because most of those lands are agricultural land that people are now converting into residential land, and that is a very big problem because you can get to a C of O on your agricultural land, and that's why some developers, okay, no wahala, but we are not going there. Then the fourth type of land, right, is industrial land, right? Industrial land. So what are industrial lands? So industrial lands are land that has been designated for the purpose of establishing industrial facilities, factories, warehouses, and other types of industrial buildings, right? So the government has designated this place, so what we want to be doing here is industry. So you see large companies. In fact, those kind of land, most times you see the land, they won't call it road, it will be kilometer 7, kilometer this, kilometer that, kilometer this, kilometer that. That's how the land is measured. It's by kilometer. Because the kind of people that are using that land are using it for industry. So, for instance, you have heard of industrial road in Ikeja. There's industrial road in Ikeja. That place is meant for industries. You see people like Coca-Cola, you see people like Dangote, you see people like Nestle. All across that line, you see these big companies that are there because it's an industry. There's also another one at I think Agbara at Agbara Industrial Estate. You understand? That estate is where Unilever, all of these great people are. There's another one I think at Shagamu. So all those industrial areas are meant for in fact residential is not supposed to be there at all, because even some of them are maybe like cement factories. You can't stay near cement factories now, right? You just die a natural death, you understand, or die on natural death, or as the case may be, or die of sickness, or as the case may be. So, and that is something that is very, very vital. So you need to understand those are the 4 types of land. Then, what are the important documents that is involved in a land transaction? Right? What are the important documents that is involved in a land transaction? I have to round this up. It seems that time has really gone, so I'm just going to fast track it. Obviously, you guys can go and read about it later. So the important documents that are involved in the landed transaction is number 1, a gazette, right? Gazette. So what is a gazette? A gazette is an official publication by the government that contains all the information about a land, the boundaries and the regulation that is involved in that land. So that is very, very important. That is to say that the government has come out to say, see this land, this is the people that owns it. This is the boundary, like this is the boundary of this land. This is the measurement of this land, and this is the regulation that is on this land. Okay, so that is what the Gazette does, right? So it really provides, it allows everybody in the public to know the authenticity of the land documents. You understand? So the first thing about a land is that it needs to have a gazette. Okay, it needs to have a gazette. The second thing that you need to do, especially when you are buying a land, is what is called a search report. Okay, a search report. So you need a search report document that shows that this land is authentic. So what a search report does is that it is conducted at the land registry to verify the authenticity of the title documents. Okay, please, you can read about this later by yourself. Agreement of sale, or rather it is also called sale agreement. So the sale agreement is that when somebody wants to buy a house or buy a land, right, there needs to be an agreement between the seller and the buyer that spells out the details, the payment structure, the purchase price, and every other relevant details that is involved in that transaction. So that is what the sales agreement does, right? So it is an agreement between the seller and the buyer to, to exchange value. You understand? To exchange value. Then, of course, we have receipts of payments. So once you make payment, definitely you are supposed to collect a receipt. So a receipt is what serves as evidence of payment that a buyer has made to the seller. Then later we have what is called letter of allocation. So what is letter of allocation? It is basically the letter that allocates a portion of land to you as your own. Okay, so this can be done by the property developer or a government agency if it is the government that is selling that land to you. Okay, so for most times the property developer will allocate the land for you and will give you a letter as regards to that this total land has been allocated to you on so date at so hour, right? And this is the location of the land that has been, whether it's block this is whatever the block is, it will be stated in that letter of allocation. Then we have deed of assignment. Everybody, now this is one of the most important documents, extremely important documents, and a lot of people make mistakes as regards this. So, what is deed of assignment? Deed of assignment is the document that transfers ownership of the land from the seller to the buyer. C of O doesn't transfer ownership. It is deed of assignment. If you like, you can do C of O more than that. If you don't have deed of assignment, you are on your own. Deed of assignment is very, very important. You can't even do a C of O without deed of assignment in the first place, right? But some people, they don't understand anything. But this is something that we ought to actually talk more about. But because of time, we won't talk about it. So then, survey plan. So survey plan is a map of a land that shows the boundaries, the measurement, the and other features that is involved in that land for the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. And what that does is that it gives you a lot of information about the land, and such that that land, there will not be any issue. You will know where the boundary of the land is. You understand, and you know everything about the land. Then C of O. So the C of O is a legal document that is issued by the government that confirms ownership rights and usage of land for the period of 99 years. Okay, so that's why I told you that nobody owns a land. So it means that the government is giving you that land for a period of 99 years, that you own that land for a period of 99 years. Now, of course, the government won't come and collect the land back from you, right? Because you can always renew your C of O. Okay, so that is all that is. But that's a big debate. There's a lot of land that their C of O is expired and it doesn't matter anything because even the governor would have died, right? Whichever governor that issued that land document would have died. So there's no point. Then, governor's consent. So government consent is basically governor's consent is issued for a land that already has a C of O that is being sold to another person. So if the land in question has a C of O, the consent of the state of the governor, like the consent of the present governor, is needed. You understand? In order to legally transfer the ownership to the new owner. So if a land already has C of O and the name of that person is there, that this land has C of O, now you have bought that land from that person, you need to go and meet the governor for what is called a governor's consent. Okay, so that the governor will be aware that you have bought the land from the person that originally owned it. Okay, and it's very, very important. And then we talk about the development levy receipt. So development levy receipt is the receipt you get for when you make payment to a property developer or a government agency for the provision of infrastructural development. You understand, including electricity, roads, drainages, and the rest. So please make sure you go about it. As you can see, I fast track it. Okay, so when it comes to fees and payment in land transaction, we have purchase price, we have legal fees, you have agency fees, you have survey fees, you have stamp duty, you have deed of registration fees, you have development levy, you have certificate of all processing fees, and the rest like that. So what are you to do if you want to buy land in Lagos? Right. Number one, conduct due diligence. Make sure the land you are purchasing is genuine. Okay. But within the internet, we are buying from the International Resource Group. You are good to go because every land we sell is genuine land. Verify land ownership. You need to verify land ownership to know who owns the land. So, and how you can do that is to conduct your research. Okay. Then compliance with local laws and regulations. You need to comply with local laws and regulations. Like we talked, there are four types of lands, right? You need to ensure that the land you are buying is going to be used for the purpose for which you are buying it. Then potential risks and pitfalls. You need to avoid potential risks and pitfalls. One of the things I tell people is don't buy from Omonile directly. Don't buy from unrelated variety. I have a book that's called Land Scams: How to Avoid All Types of Land Scams in Lagos and Nigeria by King Okolawon. So that book, if you want it, it's actually for sale. It's actually 1,000 naira I sell that book. But if you know you are interested in it, I don't do things. I don't like giving people for free things. So, but if you know you are interested in that, you can make a donation. Whatever amount that you have, you can make a donation. Whether it's 100 naira, 200, 500, 1,000, whatever you know you have. Then the book will be given to you, and that is just how that is. Okay. So thank you. We have come to the end of this training for today. So please, if you have any question, you can quickly ask before we bring the meeting to an end. So that is it. Do we have any question? Any question quickly before the meeting comes to an end? Do we have any question from what we have said so far? No question? Okay. So since there is no question, and okay, somebody wants to ask? Definitely, definitely. Yes. Okay, so since there is no question, so once again, I want to thank everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Um, it's really an amazing one to really have all of you here. So we have come to the end of the meeting for today. I pray that as we go out today, God blesses every single one of us. The blessings of God be upon us. Whatever we lay our hands on shall prosper. God's mercy shall be upon us, and the favor of the Lord that maketh one wise, that maketh one rich and prosper, would come on every single one of us in Jesus' mighty name. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate every single one of you. See you guys tomorrow. Okay, our product training continues tomorrow. So thank you, everyone, and good night. Good good morning, so to speak. Tomorrow is Saturday. It's just, or probably let's start on Monday. Let's make it on Monday. So we'll just start everything back on Monday because I think that's just more better.